excellent to each other. Hey, it's Kristen, and today we are talking about the third movie in the most epic saga, Bill and Ted Face the Music. The original films set up the idea that one day Bill and Ted would compose a song that would save life as we know it, and now, nearly 30 years later, it's time to make it happen. Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and drop down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on Bill and Ted. Were you a fan of the original movies, or is this your first time getting into it? Did you feel the nostalgia, or were you like, nah, we didn't need this? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey were films that I remember watching when I was young and thought they were so much fun, and I was excited to hear that they were making a third movie, but also a little bit skeptical because I'm like, you know, what is that gonna look like? And honestly, I do feel like this movie worked really well in connection with those first two films. The first movie, we were following Bill and Ted, these two guys in high school just trying to pass history, and they hinted then that they were going to create a song, even though they couldn't even play instruments at that point, that was going to unite the world. And we got to see them travel back in time and meet all of these historical figures, and then in the second film, we got to see them go through heaven and hell, and again, they hinted at this idea that they're going to create this song. And I feel like in the third movie, they actually combined all of those elements. We get to see their daughters traveling through time, they travel through time, they do end up going to hell, and it kind of felt like full circle, like all the big moments of the first and second movies kind of culminated into this. And what I really appreciated is that I feel like with all the references and connections, they really stayed true to the continuation of this franchise in a way I think fans will really enjoy. We got to see the old phone booth, they paid a lot of tribute to the late George Carlin, and I think it was really successful in that way. I think this is also a little bit of like an older coming of age story in that we see Bill and Ted haven't really changed all that much from when they were young, and in this film they sort of are able to form a little bit less of a codependency on each other and sort of grow up a bit. They have these daughters that are just like them. It was nice to see that kind of like fatherly daughter bond, and even though they don't get to spend as much time together, you know, we sort of get to see this second coming of Bill and Ted in their daughters going off and searching for different musicians throughout time to come join their band. You know, it felt like nostalgic to go back to that. I think there's also a lot of really great messages in this film. You know, in addition to Bill and Ted being so dedicated to their wives and dedicated to their families, we're also sort of following this idea that, you know, even later on in life you can achieve something great. You know, this whole creating the song that's going to unite the world was something that was prophesied for them when they were in high school, and now, you know, 30 years later, their story isn't over. They were able to achieve something and save the world, even as adults later on in their life as fathers, which I think is a really cool story because a lot of times we see like the chosen ones as these young, you know, teenagers who don't really know what's going on, and so it was fun to see this story of like these older guys sort of in that chosen one role. I also really like the message of like unity through music, and I just thought that this was a really positive story. This was definitely one that as I was watching it, I was like, oh, this would have been really fun actually to watch in theaters, you know, because there is this kind of like epic fantastical quality to it that I think would do really well on like a big screen. I think Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter looked like they were having a lot of fun. They really got back into their roles. Their daughters are played by Bridget Lundy Payne and Samara Weaving, and I have to admit I did feel a little bit like taken out of the film a tiny bit with Samara Weaving. I think that she's just becoming such a big name and she's so recognizable to me that like it was hard to see her as Thea and not as like Samara Weaving. Like I think it might have been a role that worked better with someone that wasn't so known. Did this movie break boundaries and was it groundbreaking? No, but I think it was a fun time traveling story about this duo that we know and love, that we've grown up with, and I think in that aspect you're going to enjoy the nostalgia, you're going to enjoy this kind of conclusion to their story and have a lot of fun with it. I would love to know, did you enjoy this new chapter in the Bill and Ted trilogy? If you guys like this one, you can check out more of my movie reviews right over here, and I'll catch you in my next one. See ya!